The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was the largest room ever built by living beings. It stretched so wide that clouds sometimes formed near its ceiling. Thousands of alien species sat in their assigned seats, their bodies shaped in ways that would frighten children on Earth. Some had scales, some had wings, some floated in tanks of colored liquid, but they all had one thing in common. They all looked down at the human delegation sitting in the lowest section of the hall. Ambassador stood at the speaking platform. She was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes. She had served Earth for 30 years. She had believed, truly believed, that one day the galaxy would see humans as equals. Today, she was about to learn the truth. The Dominion has attacked 12 colonies in the Outer Rim, she said, her voice calm and clear. They have killed millions. They will not stop. I am here to offer Earth's help. She touched a button, and a holographic map appeared above her head. It showed Earth's fleet positions, their medical ships, their engineering core. We can provide 500 warships, 2,000 medical vessels, 10,000 engineers to repair damaged stations. We ask only to be included in the strategic planning. We ask only for a voice. The hall was silent, waited. She had made this offer before, she had been rejected before. But surely, she thought, surely this time would be different. They were coming. The galaxy needed help. Arose from her seat at the highest level of the hall. She was a species with pale blue skin and 4 arms. Her people had ruled the council for 1,000 years. She looked down at the way a person might look at an insect. The council thanks the human delegation for its offer, said. Her voice was cold. However, we must decline the request for strategic inclusion. Humans lack the cognitive complexity for such decisions. Felt her heart stop. With respect, human tacticians have won every battle they have commanded. Our engineers built the communication network you use to speak right now. Our doctors developed the vaccines that saved the species from extinction. And we are grateful for your service, said. The word service hung in the air like poison. But service is not leadership. The council has voted. Human forces will be deployed to the front lines. They will serve as the first wave against attacks. This will allow our more valuable fleets to remain in reserve. Understood, she understood completely. Humans would die first. Humans would be the shield. And when the battle was over, if they won, the council would take the credit. If they lost, humans would take the blame. You want us to be your sacrifice, said quietly. We want you to serve the galaxy, replied, as you have always done, as you were meant to do. The vote was called. 1,000 species raised their hands. The motion passed. Humans would fight and die at the front. They would have no voice in how the war was fought. They would simply follow orders. Stood very still. She did not cry. She did not shout. She simply looked up at the 1,000 alien faces staring down at her, and she understood something that had taken her 30 years to learn. They would never see her as equal. They would never see any human as equal. No matter how much humans gave, no matter how many humans died, they would always be servants in the eyes of the galaxy. She turned and walked out of the hall. She did not say goodbye. Far above the planet, Captain Park watched the council session on her ship's main screen. She was 53 years old. She had served in the human fleet for 30 years. She had fought pirates, rescued colonists, and built space stations with her own hands. She had believed in the Galactic Council. She had believed that hard work would earn respect. Now she watched as her people were sentenced to die as shields for aliens who despised them. Her first officer, a young man named Ryu, stood beside her. His hands were shaking with anger. Captain, he said, we cannot accept this. We cannot let our people die for them. Park was silent for a long moment. Then she walked to her command chair and sat down. She looked at her crew. They were all watching her. They were all waiting. Contact Admiral on Earth, she said. Secure channel, maximum encryption. The connection was made. Admiral's face appeared on screen. He was an old man with white hair and deep lines on his face. He had been Park's friend for 20 years. "I watched the vote," he said. His voice was heavy with sadness. "I watched them throw our people away like garbage." "What are your orders, Admiral?" Park asked. Was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was calm. 200 years ago, we joined the Council because we believed in unity. We believed that if we worked hard enough, if we gave enough, they would accept us. We built their stations. We healed their sick. We fought their wars, and they still see us as nothing. He leaned forward. "I am ordering all human vessels to power down non-essential communications. I am ordering all human personnel to prepare for immediate departure from Council space. We will not fire a single shot. We will not send a single message. We will simply leave." Park felt tears in her eyes. "And the war, the Council believes they do not need us," said. "Let them prove it." The order went out across 1,000 ships. Human crews stopped their work. Human engineers put down their tools. Human doctors finished their current patients and packed their bags. Human soldiers returned to their barracks and began loading transports. No one made speeches. No one wrote angry letters. No one demanded apologies. They simply stopped. They simply left. On the Council planet, A went to sleep satisfied. She had put the humans in their place. She had shown the galaxy who was in charge. Tomorrow, she would announce the war strategy. Tomorrow, human ships would begin moving to the front lines. But tomorrow came, and the human seats in the Council hall were empty. No ambassador, no diplomats, no aides, just empty chairs. I sent a message to the human embassy. No response. She sent a message to the human fleet. No response. She sent a message to Earth itself. The message was received. No reply came. She walked to the window of her office and looked up at the sky. Yesterday, she could see the lights of human ships in orbit, medical ships, engineering vessels, transport carriers. Today, the sky was dark. They were gone, all of them, without a word. I felt a small chill run down her spine, but she pushed it away. Humans were simple creatures, she told herself. They would come back. They always came back. They needed the Council. They needed to belong. She returned to her desk and continued planning the war. She did not know that in 3 months, everything she had built would begin to fall apart. She did not know that the galaxy was about to learn a terrible lesson. She did not know what it meant to lose the humans. But she would learn. They would all learn. 3 months passed. The galaxy began to break. It started with small things. A water purification system on a trading station stopped working. The alien engineers looked at the machine. They opened panels. They pressed buttons. They had no idea how to fix it. The machine had been built by humans. The manual was written in human language. The replacement parts were made on Earth. Within a week, the station ran out of clean water. 10,000 aliens had to be evacuated. On the medical planet of Prime, the great hospital that served 100 species began to fail. The life support systems flickered. The surgery machines gave error messages. The medicine production units shut down one by one. Doctors scrambled to find solutions. They called engineers from a dozen species. No one could help. The systems were human designs. The code was human code, and there were no humans left to ask. I sat in her office, reading report after report of systems failing across the galaxy. Her 4 hands trembled as she turned the pages. Water systems, power grids, communication relays, medical equipment, transportation networks, all of them built by humans, all of them falling apart. Her aide rushed in. "We have calculated the extent of human involvement in Council infrastructure." "Tell me," I said. 73%. Humans designed, built, or maintained 73% of all critical systems in Council space. We have no documentation. We have no training. We have no spare parts. I closed her eyes. 73%. For 200 years, humans had worked in the background. They had asked for nothing except respect. They had been given nothing except contempt. And now they were gone and they had taken their knowledge with them. Contact Earth, she ordered. Offer them whatever they want. Full voting rights, seats on the High Council, anything. The message was sent. Earth received it. No reply came. On a small space station near the border of Council space, an engineer named was finishing her last day of work. She was 35 years old. She had spent 10 years on this station, keeping its systems running. She had made friends here. She had built a life here. But she was human, and humans were leaving. The station commander, a tall alien with green scales, came to her workshop. His name was Al, and he was one of the few aliens who had always treated her with kindness. He said, using her first name as she had taught him, "Please, I am begging you, stay." Looked up from her work. She was packing her tools into a small bag, tools her father had given her, tools she had carried across the galaxy. "I cannot," she said. "My people are going home, I must go with them." Al knelt beside her. For his species, this was a sign of deep respect. "I know what the council did was wrong. I know they treated your people badly, but the station needs you. We have 3,000 people here. Without you, the life support will fail in 6 months." Stopped packing. She looked at Al. She saw the fear in his eyes. She remembered the years they had worked together. She remembered the time he had defended her when other aliens called her a primitive. "I will leave instructions," she said quietly. "I will write everything down, every system, every repair, every maintenance schedule. It is all I can do." "It is not enough," Al said. "We do not have engineers who can understand your work. We do not have the minds for it." Felt a cold anger rise in her chest. "You do not have the minds for it," she repeated. "For 200 years, your council told us that humans were simple, that we lacked cognitive complexity, that we were only good for manual labor. Now you tell me that you cannot understand our work." Al lowered his head. "I am sorry, I did not mean." "I know what you meant," said. She softened her voice. Al was not her enemy. He was a good being trapped in a broken system. "You meant that your people never bothered to learn. You took what we built and never asked how it worked. You assumed we would always be here to fix things." She picked up her bag and walked to the door. At the doorway, she stopped and looked back. "I have a home to return to," she said. "I hope you find a way to save yours." She walked to the docking bay and boarded her shuttle. She did not look back. Across the galaxy, the same scene played out 1,000 times. Human workers finishing their contracts. Human engineers leaving instructions that no one could follow. Human doctors handing over patients they could not save. Every departure was quiet. Every departure was final. A called an emergency session of the council. She stood at the speaking platform where Ambassador had stood 3 months ago. "The humans have abandoned their duties," she announced. Her voice was strong, but her hands were shaking. "They have betrayed the trust of the galaxy. They have left us to suffer. We must condemn them. We must show the galaxy that such behavior will not be tolerated." She expected applause. She expected agreement. Instead, she saw empty seats. 100 species had not come to the session. They were too busy trying to keep their worlds running without human help. Sabal rose from his seat. He was the same being who had begged to stay. He said, "The humans did not abandon us. We pushed them away. We told them they were not good enough to sit with us. We told them to die for us while we watched from safety. And when they finally left, we called them traitors." A's face turned dark with anger. "You would defend them after they left us to fall apart." "I would tell the truth," Al said. "Something this council has not done in a very long time." He walked out of the hall. 30 others followed him. That night, Al sent a private message to Earth. It was addressed to Ambassador. "I am sorry," the message said. "I am sorry for what my people did. I am sorry that I did not speak sooner. I understand if you never forgive us. But please know that some of us see the truth. Some of us know what we lost." 3 days later, a reply came. It was short. Thank you for your words, sub. They mean more than you know, but words cannot undo 200 years of pain. We offered partnership. Your council wanted servants. There is nothing more to discuss. We wish you well in the coming darkness. It was signed, former ambassador. The coming darkness arrived faster than anyone expected. The Dominion, sensing weakness, launched its largest attack in history. Without human ships to hold the line, the Council's defensive fleet crumbled in hours. 3 border worlds fell in a single week. A watched the battle reports come in. She watched her empire begin to burn, and somewhere deep inside her heart, a small voice whispered the truth she could not accept. We did this to ourselves. But she pushed the voice away. She had to be strong. She had to find another way. Humans were not special, she told herself. Humans could be replaced. She did not know how wrong she was, but she would learn. The whole galaxy would learn. The darkness was only beginning. 1 year had passed since the humans walked away. The galaxy was burning. The Dominion had conquered 15 Council worlds. Their black ships moved through space like a plague, destroying everything in their path. Millions of aliens had died. Millions more had fled their homes, becoming refugees with nowhere to go. Admiral stood in Earth's command center, watching the war unfold on a massive holographic display. Red markers showed positions. Blue markers showed Council forces. The red was spreading like blood in water. They are losing badly, said Commander Ryu, standing beside him. At this rate, they will reach the Council within 6 months. Nodded slowly, I know. Sir, we should help them. Ryu's voice was passionate. I know what they did to us. I know they treated us like garbage, but there are innocent people dying. Children, families, people who never voted against us. Turned to look at the young officer. He saw the fire in Ryu's eyes. He remembered when he had that same fire 30 years ago, when he truly believed the galaxy could be united. We offered to stand beside them, said quietly. They told us to stand behind them. That is not the same thing. If we go back now, nothing will change. They will use us to win the war, and then they will throw us away again. Ryu looked down at his feet. So we just watch, we just let them die. We wait, said. We wait until they understand. We wait until they are ready to see us as equals. And while we wait, we prepare. In a hospital ship near the border of Council space, Doctor was doing something that Earth Command had not ordered. She was saving lives. Her ship, the Compassion, flew along the edges of the war zone. It picked up refugees, alien refugees, and gave them food, medicine, and safe passage to neutral worlds. She had saved 10,000 lives in the past year. She asked for nothing in return. A mother sat in the medical bay, holding her sick child. The child had been injured when they attacked their colony. Human doctors had saved his life. Why? The mother asked, looking up with confusion in her eyes. Why do you help us, after everything my people did to yours? Check the child's bandages. She smiled softly. Because you are not your government. Your child did not vote to send my people to die. Your child is just a child, and children deserve to live. The mother began to cry. I am sorry, she whispered. I am so sorry for what we did. Held her hand. I know, many of you are sorry, but sorry is just a word. What matters is what happens next. News of the human hospital ship spread across the refugee camps. Aliens whispered to each other. The humans were helping. After everything, after being thrown away like trash, the humans were still helping. It made the Council's propaganda much harder to believe. I had tried to turn the galaxy against humanity. She had called them cowards. She had called them traitors. She had said they were watching innocent people die and laughing. But the refugees knew the truth. They had seen human ships rescuing their families. They had been healed by human doctors. They had been fed by human hands. The lie could not stand against the truth. Far away in the heart of space, warlord or sat on his throne and studied reports about the humans. He was curious about this strange species. They had been part of the council for 200 years. They had built most of the council's technology. And then, when the council treated them badly, they had simply walked away. No threats, no violence, just silence. Or respected that. His people, believed in strength, but they also believed in dignity. A warrior who was disrespected had the right to leave. A warrior who was treated as a slave had the right to refuse. The humans had refused, and now the council was falling apart without them. Interesting, or said to himself, very interesting. His fleet intercepted a human ship near the border. It was a small refugee transport carrying alien families to safety. His warriors wanted to destroy it, or ordered them to stand down. "Let it pass," he commanded. "But warlord, they are enemies." "They are not our enemies," or said. "They never were. The council is our enemy, the council that used the humans and threw them away. The humans are simply wise enough to step aside." He sent a message to the human ship. "You are not our enemy. The ones who wasted you are. Go in peace." The message was received. The human captain, a young woman named Sara, reported it to Earth Command. Admiral read the message 3 times. "They respect us," he said quietly. "Our enemies respect us more than our allies ever did." 6 months into the war, Sub-Al made a secret journey to Earth. He came alone, without guards, without permission from the council. He came because he believed it was the only way to save his people. Ambassador met him at the Earth spaceport. She was older now. Her hair was completely white, but her eyes were still sharp. "Sub," she said, "you take a great risk coming here." "I take a greater risk doing nothing," Al replied. Is leading us to destruction. She refuses to admit her mistakes. She refuses to ask for help, and every day more of my people die." They walked together through a garden filled with trees and flowers. Earth was beautiful. Al had forgotten how beautiful it was. "What do you want from us?" asked. "I want you to come back," Al said. "I want you to help us fight I want you to save the galaxy." Stopped walking, she turned to face him. "And what do we get in return? More insults. More years of being called primitives. More of our people sent to die while your fleets stay safe." "No," Al said. He dropped to his knees, the sign of deepest respect in his culture. "You get what you always deserved. Full partnership, full equality, a voice in every decision. I cannot promise the whole council will agree, but I can promise that many of us will fight for it. Many of us have learned the truth." Looked down at him for a long moment, then she helped him stand. "I believe you," she said, "but believing is not enough. If humanity returns, it will be on our terms, not as saviors, not as servants, as equals, nothing less." Al nodded. "Then tell me what you need, tell me what it will take." Looked up at the sky. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was burning. Somewhere out there, millions were dying. And somewhere out there, her people were waiting to see if the galaxy had finally learned its lesson. "I need to speak with our president," she said. "I need to speak with our parliament. This decision is too big for one person to make." She turned back to Al. "But I will tell you this, we have not forgotten how to hope. We walked away because we had to. We will come back if we can. The question is whether the galaxy is ready to accept us, truly accept us, as partners." Al felt tears in his eyes. "I pray that they are. For all our sakes, I pray that they are." On her retired farm on Earth, Captain Park watched the news. She saw the war. She saw the suffering. She saw the galaxy that had rejected her people now crying out for help. For the first time in a year, she allowed herself to hope that things might change. But she knew hope was not enough. The galaxy would have to prove it had learned. The galaxy would have to earn humanity's return. The question was, would they? Earth's Parliament building was filled with the sound of angry voices. 300 representatives from every nation on the planet were debating the most important question in human history. Should they go back? President Moon sat at the head of the great chamber, listening to the arguments. She was a small woman with kind eyes and iron will. She had led Earth through the difficult year of isolation. Now she had to lead them through something even harder, deciding whether to forgive. Representative, a tall man with a loud voice, stood at the speaking platform. "We cannot go back," he shouted. "They treated us like animals for 200 years. They sent our children to die while their children stayed safe. And now, because they are losing their war, they want us to save them. I say let them burn." Many representatives cheered. The anger in the room was thick enough to taste. But then Representative, an elderly woman who had lost her son in council space, rose to speak. The chamber fell silent out of respect for her grief. "I hate them," she said quietly. "I hate what they did to my son. I hate what they did to all of us. But I have been thinking about something. If we refuse to help, we become like them. We become the kind of people who watch others suffer and do nothing. Is that who we want to be?" The chamber was silent. "My son believed in something better," continued. "He believed that humans could show the galaxy a different way, a way of kindness, a way of strength through compassion. If we let that dream die because of our anger, then we lose more than a war. We lose ourselves." President Moon stood. "Thank you, Representative. You have given us much to think about." She looked out at the hundreds of faces before her. "I propose a compromise. We will not go back as we were before. We will not be their servants. We will not be their shields. If we return as equals, with full voting rights, with full respect. And if they cannot accept that, then we will stay home and let them face the darkness alone." The debate continued for 3 days. In the end, the vote was close. 162 in favor of conditional return, 138 against. Humanity would go back, but only on their terms. Ambassador was called out of retirement. At 70 years old, she thought her diplomatic career was over. Now she was given the most important mission of her life. She drafted a document called the Soul Accords. It contained humanity's demands. First, full voting rights in the Galactic Council, equal to any other species. Second, a formal apology, broadcast to every world in the galaxy, acknowledging the wrongs done to humanity. Third, payment to the families of every human who died serving the Council without proper recognition. Fourth, restructuring of the Council so that no species could ever be classified as lesser again. Fifth, human representatives would have veto power over any military decision that put human lives at risk. The demands were sent to the Council. Read them in her office. Her 4 hands crumpled the document in rage. "They dare," she hissed. "They dare make demands while they burn our worlds. They would hold the galaxy hostage." Sabal stood before her. "They ask for what they always deserved, what we should have given them 200 years ago." "It is blackmail." "It is justice," Al replied calmly. "And you know it, you have always known it, you just never cared." Threw the document at him. "I will never sign this. I will never apologize to those primitives." "Then the will win," Al said. "And when they stand over the ashes of our civilization, you can explain to them that you were too proud to say sorry." He picked up the document and walked out. The debate in the Council was even more bitter than the debate on Earth. Some species supported the humans. They remembered the engineers who built their cities. They remembered the doctors who saved their children. They remembered the kindness that was always given, never returned. Other species were like too proud to admit they were wrong, too blind to see the truth. But the war would not wait for them to decide. The fleet had broken through the last defensive line. They were 3 weeks away from the Council. If something did not change, the galaxy would fall. Ambassador was invited to address the Council. She stood at the same platform where she had been humiliated 1 year ago. But this time she did not beg. She did not plead. She simply spoke the truth. "1 year ago I stood in this hall and offered you partnership. You refused. You told me that humans were too simple to make decisions. You told us to die for you while you watched, so we left. We did not curse you. We did not threaten you. We simply showed you what life looks like without us." She paused and looked up at the thousand faces staring down at her. "Now you need us. Now you come begging for help. And I must tell you, it brings me no joy. I did not want to be right. I wanted to be wrong. I wanted to believe that you were better than you showed yourselves to be." She held up the soul accords. "This document contains our terms. They are not negotiable. They are not a starting point for discussion. They are the minimum requirements for humanity to return. You may think they are harsh. You may think we are holding you hostage. But I ask you, what is harsher? These words on paper, or 200 years of being called primitive while we built your civilization?" Arose from her seat. "You would let billions die for your pride." Looked at her with calm eyes. "Would you let billions die for yours?" The chamber was silent. "I did not come here to argue," continued. "I came here to offer you a choice. Sign the accords and humanity will stand with you against the darkness. Refuse and we will go home and pray for your souls. The choice is yours. It has always been yours." She walked off the platform and stood by the door, waiting. The vote was called. One by one, species raised their hands, some for, some against. A sat frozen in her seat, watching the numbers climb. When the count was finished, the result was clear. 643 in favor, 357 against. The motion had passed. The soul accords were brought to A's desk. She looked at the document for a long time. Her pride screamed at her to refuse. Her anger burned like fire in her heart. But she could see the fleet on her monitor, 3 weeks away. 20 billion lives depending on her decision. Slowly, painfully, she picked up the pen and signed. Watched from across the room, she did not smile, she did not celebrate. She simply nodded and sent a message to Earth. President Moon received the message in her office. She read it twice to make sure it was real. "It is done," the message said. "They have signed, we can go home." Moon stood and walked to her window. Outside, the sun was setting over the city. Children were playing in the streets. Families were eating dinner together. This was what she was fighting to protect. This peace. This simple happiness. She opened a channel to Admiral. "Admiral," she said, "begin the mobilization. We are going back." Smiled for the first time in a year. "Understood, Madam President. I will contact Captain Park immediately." "Park, I thought she retired." "She did," said, "but I have a feeling she has been waiting for this moment. Some soldiers never truly put down their swords." On her farm, Park received the call. She listened to his words. Then she walked to her closet and took out her old uniform. It still fit. She looked at herself in the mirror. The years had changed her, but the fire in her eyes was still there. "One more mission," she said to herself. "One more chance to show them who we are." She walked out of her house and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, a war was waiting. Somewhere out there, a galaxy was holding its breath. The humans were coming back, and this time everything would be different. The combined fleet gathered at the edge of Council space. 5,000 ships from 100 species, and at the center of the formation, flying in perfect lines, were 500 human warships. Captain Park stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship, the Soul's Pride. She looked at the holographic display showing the massive fleet around her. For the first time in history, humans and aliens were flying together as equals, not servants and masters, partners. "Captain," said Commander Ryu, "all ships report ready. The Council fleet is awaiting your orders." Park allowed herself a small smile. Her orders. A year ago, no alien would have taken orders from a human. Now, the fate of the galaxy rested in her hands. "Open a channel to all ships," she commanded. A small light blinked on, showing that thousands of captains across the fleet were listening. "This is Captain Park of the Earth flagship Soul's Pride. I know that many of you are afraid. I know that many of you wonder if we can win this battle. I cannot promise you victory. I cannot promise you safety. But I can promise you this: today we fight together. Human and alien, side by side, as equals." She paused, looking at the stars beyond her window. "They believe we are weak because we were divided. They believe they can crush us because we spent so long fighting each other instead of standing together. Today, we prove them wrong. Today, we show the galaxy what unity really means." She straightened her shoulders. "All ships advance. Let us end this war." The fleet moved forward like a great wave. Ahead of them, the armada waited. 10,000 black ships, each one built for destruction. At their center was the flagship of Warlord, or a massive vessel called the Dark Fist. Or watched the approaching fleet on his screens. He saw the human ships flying alongside alien vessels. He saw the formation, tight, disciplined, unified. "So they finally learned," he said to himself. "They finally understood what I have known all along. The humans were never the weak ones. The fools who rejected them were weak." His second-in-command looked at him with confusion. "Warlord, should we attack?" Or smiled. "Oh yes, attack with everything we have. But know this, today will be different from every other battle. Today we face a real enemy." The two fleets crashed together in a storm of fire and light. Human ships moved with speed and precision that shocked both friend and enemy. They did not fight like the Council expected. They did not stand in neat lines and trade shots. They danced through the battlefield, striking weak points, protecting damaged allies, drawing enemy fire away from vulnerable targets. Park commanded the battle like a musician leading an orchestra. She saw patterns that others missed. She found weaknesses that others could not see. Third Wing moved to coordinate 774. Draw their destroyers away from the medical ships. "Yes, Captain." "Cruisers, your shields are failing. Fall back behind the human carriers. We will cover you." "Thank you, Captain. Falling back now." For the first time in history, alien captains were thanking human commanders. For the first time, they were seeing what humans could do when they were given the chance to lead. Commander Ryu led a team of human soldiers onto the Dark Fist itself. They fought through corridors filled with warriors. The aliens were bigger and stronger than humans, but humans were faster. Humans were smarter. Humans never gave up. Ryu reached the command center. There, standing alone, was Warlord Or. "Human," Or said, "you fight well. Your species impressed me even before this day. Now you impress me more." "Surrender," Ryu said, pointing his weapon at the Warlord. "Order your fleet to stand down." Or laughed. "You think I fear death? I have lived 1,000 battles. I have killed enemies you cannot imagine. One small human does not frighten me." He drew his blade and attacked. The fight was brutal, Or was a master warrior. His blade moved like lightning. Ryu was pushed back again and again. Blood ran from cuts on his arms and face. But Ryu did not stop. Every time he was knocked down, he got back up. Every time he was wounded, he kept fighting. This was the human way, not strength, not speed, simply refusing to give up. Finally, Ryu found an opening. His blade slipped past Or's guard and struck true. The warlord fell to his knees, wounded but alive. "Finish it," Or said. "I have been defeated." Ryu lowered his weapon. "I am not here to kill you. I am here to end the war. Surrender your fleet and your people will be treated with honor. Continue fighting and more will die on both sides. Choose." Or looked at the young human standing before him. He saw something in Ryu's eyes that he had not expected. Mercy, compassion, the desire for peace, not just victory. "Now I understand," Or said slowly. "Now I understand why the Council feared you. Not because you are strong, because you are good. And goodness, true goodness, is the most terrifying power in the universe." He gave the order. The fleet stood down. The war was over. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy began to rebuild. Human engineers worked alongside aliens to repair damaged stations. Human doctors healed wounded soldiers, regardless of species. Human leaders sat in the council chamber, their votes counting just as much as anyone else's. Resigned from her position, she could not face the shame of what she had done. She disappeared to a remote world, never to be seen again. Subal became the new leader of the council. His first act was to unveil a memorial to all the humans who had died serving the galaxy without recognition. The names were carved in stone, thousands upon thousands, finally remembered. Captain Park retired again, this time for good. She returned to her farm on Earth and spent her days growing vegetables and watching the sunset. But sometimes, late at night, she would look up at the stars and smile. She had seen something she never thought she would see, a galaxy that finally understood. Ambassador, now very old, visited the memorial on the anniversary of the Soul Accords. She walked slowly among the carved names, remembering friends she had lost, battles she had fought. A young alien child approached her. She was, with bright purple skin and curious eyes. "Excuse me," the child said. "Are you the human ambassador, the one from the stories?" Smiled, "I was, a long time ago." "Can I ask you a question?" "Of course." The child looked up at her with innocent eyes. "Why did the humans come back? After everything my people did to you, why did you help us?" Was quiet for a long moment. She thought about all the years of pain, all the years of being looked down upon, all the years of giving and receiving nothing in return. "Because walking away was never about hatred," she said finally. "It was about teaching the galaxy what it felt like to lose us. We hoped you would learn, and you did." The child nodded slowly, trying to understand. "But were you not angry?" she asked. "Very angry," admitted. "But anger is a fire. If you let it burn too long, it destroys everything, including yourself. We chose to let the fire die. We chose to build instead of burn." She placed a hand on the child's shoulder. "Remember this, little one. Strength is not about winning fights. Strength is about knowing when to walk away and when to come back. Strength is about being kind even when kindness is hard. The galaxy forgot that for a long time. We had to remind them." She looked up at the memorial one last time, at the thousands of names carved in stone. "And they finally heard us," she whispered. "In the silence, they finally heard us." She placed a single flower at the base of the memorial, a rose from Earth, red as blood, soft as hope, and walked away into the light of a new day. The galaxy had changed. Humans and aliens worked together, lived together, built together. There were still problems. There were still disagreements, but something fundamental was different. The galaxy had learned to listen. And in the end, that was all the humans had ever wanted. To be heard.